Hi paleontologists, it's Miss Shannon, and I want to make salt dough fossils with you today. And to make salt dough fossils, we need 3 ingredients. We need flour, salt, and warm water. Now before we get started, we need to have our mommies and daddies help by starting the oven and putting it at 350 degrees. All right, let's get started. All right, paleontologists, first we're gonna need 1 whole cup of flour. So let's get a cup of flour and dump it in our bowl. Now we're gonna need 1 whole cup of salt. So let's get a cup of salt. And dump it into our bowl. Then we're gonna take our spoon and we're gonna just stir it up a bit. And then we're gonna add our 1/2 cup of water. Slowly mixing it in. And once everything's in there, we're gonna actually use our hands. We're gonna get our hands in there and we're gonna start kneading the dough. We want to knead the dough into like a bread-like consistency. As you can see, I'm kneading out the lumps in the dough. Now, if the dough is too sticky, you can add a little bit more flour, and if the dough is getting a little too crumbly, you can always add more water. Add whatever you need to make the dough to kind of resemble a bread dough. We're just going to knead it for a little while longer here now. And it might be easier to knead it outside of the bowl. See, I took mine out of the bowl to get it really nice and kneaded. I had to add a little bit more water, and now I think it's a little too sticky. So I'm gonna add just a teensy bit more flour, just so I can get it to be the right consistency. It might get a little bit messy, so maybe beforehand you put down a tablecloth or something. And now that I have it at the right consistency, we could start making our fossils. Let's get started on making those. Now that our dough is nice and ready, I'm going to roll them up into little balls. We're going to roll it up into little balls. See? Let's roll all of it up into little balls. Now that they're all rolled up into little balls, I'm going to take my little dinosaur figurines and start pressing them in to make fossils. Who could tell me what kind of dinosaur that is? It's a pterodactyl. So I'm going to take it and I'm going to press it into my salt dough. And look, it shows up in the dough. Let's see what other dinosaurs I have. Oh, who could tell me what kind of dinosaur this is? It's a stegosaurus. I'm going to press that one down too. And look how it came out into the salt dough. Now, if you don't have tiny ones that can fit into your salt dough, you know what you can do is you could take your bigger ones and then flatten out your ball and then have your dinosaur walk across it so you can have little dinosaur footprints. And there's so many different things that you can do. have dinosaurs at home, you could take your salt dough and try to create what you think a dinosaur bone could look like. So I'm gonna make what I think a dinosaur bone could look like, and I'm gonna bake that. And then, I'm gonna make a longer bone. And we can try and just make creative choices and figure out what a dinosaur bone would look like, huh? All right, and now that we've finished designing all of our dinosaur fossils, we're gonna dry them, okay? Okay, let's do that. We can dry our fossils in two different ways. One way is in the oven, and another way is just by leaving them out in the sun. If you leave them out in the sun, it's gonna take a couple of days. But if you're gonna put them in the oven, put them in the preheated oven at 350 degrees, and you're gonna let them bake for about 30 to 60 minutes, depending on the thickness of the dough. We're gonna wait until they get nice and they're gonna get brown, and that's when we know we're done. So I'm gonna go put them in the oven. Our mommies and daddies might have to help us put them in the oven, huh? And now, so I don't forget, I'm gonna set a timer for 30 minutes. All right, let's check back in 30 minutes. All right, paleontologists, my timer just went off, so I'm gonna go take them out of the oven and check on them, okay? Okay, don't do this at home though. Let's have our mommies and daddies take them out because they're gonna be super hot. As you can see, mine aren't that brown yet, so I gotta pop them back in the oven for a little while longer. I might have made my dough too thick, but let's get them back to baking. And we'll check on them in a few. All right. Now that my fossils have been baking for an extra 45 minutes, I'm gonna take them out of the oven to check on them. Remember, only mommies and daddies should do this at home. Look at my fossils. All right, look at this fossil. It's a nice brown color. This is what they should look like when they're all done. I think my fossils are all done baking. Now that they're all done baking, we have to let them sit for a little while because they're still too hot to play with. So let's check back and see when they're done cooling off. All right, I waited 30 minutes for my fossils to cool down. And look at all these fossils I made. How many fossils did I make, cherubs? I made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 7 fossils. And do you see all of the different imprints? Look, there's the Stegosaurus. And there are the bones that I made. Aren't these so cool, cherubs? Now that our dinosaur fossils are made, we can play with them in many different ways. One way that's a lot of fun is having a dinosaur dig. You can bury them in some sand or some dirt or just some shredded paper, whatever you have, and you can try to dig them up like your actual paleontologist looking for dinosaur bones. Well, thank you so much for making dinosaur fossils with me today, cherubs. Bye, my paleontologists.